Welcome back. Radio Day continues here on 93.1 at AM 1600. The Wave, Jason Mansmith along with you. It's a great day. Sunshine, 3:30. And let's talk more great things going on around the area. We welcome in Patrick from Alexandria Games, downtown Ripon. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good.
Good.
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, so first of all, let's just get the stuff that we need to chat about out of the way. Talk to me about Alexandria Games location. What y'all do?
Absolutely. Alexandria Games, 200 Watson Street, right on Main Street in Ripon. We are right on that fun corner that everyone likes to, scream about one-way streets on. But we've got board games, hobby stuff. If you're, someone that loves your Monopoly or someone that loves their crazy extensive games, Twilight Imperium, we'll throw the dirty one out there. Eric's gonna laugh at me. But yeah, and even hobby kit stuff, model kits, different art supply stuff, books. We're working on our little, toddler section. We're working on our art supplies, all of our, science kits and stuff. A place for people to come together, play in our back room. We've got over 70 titles on our in-game library shelf. And yeah, just a cool spot to hang out.
Also, Pokemon.
Yes, lots and lots of Pokemon. Just brought in new Pokemon tins this morning, actually. And new Pokemon release on the 31st, next Friday.
I learned within the last year or so, I don't know a whole lot about it, but Breaker Box?
Breaking a box.
Breaking
yes,
a box.
Breaking
okay,
box.
right. Yeah. So, okay. I'm learning a little bit about this stuff every once in a while. I got some limited knowledge on that.
Right.
Patrick, you've got somebody with you that you've partnered with to kind of talk about an event that we've got coming up in April.
An event in April, Saturday, April 15th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We've got Eric Wagner in from Mana Oasis, officially founder...
One of the co-founders.
Co-founders, yeah, of Mana Oasis. And Eric, I'm leaving it to you because you say it better than I do. What does Mana Oasis do?
Fantastic. I appreciate that. So Mana Oasis, we're a nonprofit, and we do trauma-informed tabletop and role-play gaming for anybody who's ever worn a uniform in service of their community or our country.
Okay.
We are, so specifically veterans and first responders, but we are actually kind of a cutting edge. This is a new kind of thing that we're doing. The whole trauma-informed piece of this is very new. Matter of fact, trauma-informed principles have been around for a long time, but as far as incorporating them into gaming is new, and we're the ones who are kind of piloting this whole thing. And we started our organization a little over a year ago. We had our first game night in Juneau down in Dodge County, and we have really just been working to grow the organization. We met Patrick and Lauren almost a year ago, maybe right around a year ago, and they have been super supportive of our mission. Our mission really is to help reach out to these very vulnerable communities and help facilitate lowering the suicide rate within these communities. The numbers are just they're staggering numbers of what we lose a day in completed suicides within the veteran and first responder and active duty community, and the mental health piece of this. Now we're not mental health professionals. We are, but we have access to them. Mm-hmm. Our program is actually that we train our game masters in a very specific trauma-informed gaming process. And that whole process has been put together by mental health professionals. We have, my wife is a mental health professional, and then we have two others that have kind of helped participate in it. Actually, three others that have participated in that process. Two of them are actually Gold Star moms who have lost their sons to suicide in the military, and so it's very, very near and dear to their hearts. Mm-hmm. One of them does a lot of our training for us as far as with our game masters and the trauma-informed piece. She volunteers that to be part of this because of her history, plus she has other veterans in her family and things. So we love what we do. We want to get our message out there. We want to find ways to grow our organization and our mission as far as getting the trauma-informed gaming piece out there, because it's not just something that can be used within these communities. It literally can be used within any community.
I'll plead ignorance here. I've never heard the term trauma-informed gaming before.
Okay.
So tell me what that's about.
So first of all, the very first piece of being trauma-informed is recognizing that everybody has trauma. Mm-hmm. We all have differing levels of trauma. We have what we consider big T traumas and then small T traumas, but we all have them and we all deal with them in different ways. But the trauma-informed piece of that, we're taking the principles of trauma-informed through SAMHSA, which is the mental health, the biggest organization for mental health.
Sure.
Number one is providing a safe space for people to be in. We want to be welcoming, have that piece for people to come in and feel safe, trustworthy and transparency. Now, in gaming, that's huge because as a game master, you're in a position of power in a game, and there's some things that game masters can do that can that can sometimes be questioned. And mm-hmm. So we want that transparency to be there, that our players can see it. They all have part of that decision-making process. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, game master, when we talk about game master, like a lot of people are going to be like, oh, that's that D&D thing, right?
Right.
It's not just D&D. Tabletop
Correct.
role-playing games, yeah, they have game masters, they have dungeon masters. That's a title that's associated with those games. But every game out there can have a game master. The person who taught you to play Monopoly was your game master.
Sure.
Right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you, because that's a very important piece of this. The next point would be peer support, and that is for us to take our own experiences that we have in life and being able to come alongside somebody else who's struggling, help them find the path to whatever that path looks like for healing for them. So it might be, hey, we might have to refer you out to a mental health professional, but you know what? I'll go with you when you go. I'll help you find that person, whatever. Or if you just need to sit and talk to me or whatever your journey looks like, we're going to help you kind of find your way on that journey. Collaboration and mutuality is another big piece of that. We collaborate on everything. So we have our, before we start any group, we always sit down and have what we call a session zero, where we sit down and we talk about what the rules are for each of those for each one of those groups. Mm-hmm. So you may come in to one of our groups. You may be part of 3 or 4 of our groups, but each one of those groups may have different rules. Okay. What might be acceptable, what might not be acceptable, because the last thing we want is somebody coming in, having a bad experience and causing more trauma for them. So we're trying to avoid that. We want to be, so that way those rules are all mutually decided on by the group. We sit there, we talk about them, we decide what's acceptable to talk about, what's not acceptable to talk about, how problems are going to be resolved, just a laundry list of different things that we go through. And then another one would be empowerment and choice, and letting people, everybody has empowered to help make those decisions. And then the last thing is making sure that we're recognizing any kind of cultural, historical, gender, religious, sexuality, whatever. We're recognizing that we all have these differences, but we're accepting of them. We're going to let anybody come sit at our table and play.
This is fascinating to me. I'm talk about emotionally incredible.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot more than just like, hey, let's go roll some dice.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And to me, into a group that sometimes is often underserved.
Yep.
Correct.
Right?
Exactly.
In this realm, how does somebody get involved in it? And man, you guys have the most unique opportunity I've ever heard of. Like, I mean, you're a unicorn in this, right?
We are,
right?
We really are. And so my wife and I were actually just sitting and talking this morning about how to help grow this more. How do we get this word out there? How do we spread this? How do we do that? What does that look like? How do we get people involved? Right now, involvement is pretty simple. It's come out to our organization or invite us into yours to show us so we can show you what we're doing. We're willing to come out and help train other people to do this and be able to use our model within their organization. One of the other founders, there's three of us, myself, Ben, and Dylan. Dylan has a huge heart, and he's younger than the rest of us by a pretty good margin, but he's got a big heart and loves people. And he's come to me about, what about this, or, what about this at-risk group, and the thing is we have to keep telling them, hey, we have to kind of reel it in a little bit because we can't help everybody.
Sure.
However, we can take our message to other groups within these organizations and teach them to do what we're doing to help these other at-risk communities.
Patrick, I'll come back to you just for a second.
Yeah.
With Rip City GameCon, we'll talk about how Mana Oasis works into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a really big thing to throw out, the first introduction here for us was actually one of our customers at the store who plays games with us regularly, who is former Air Force and who works around the state and is down in Juneau sometimes, and went, hey, have you heard of this group? And read the website page and went, I'm sending the email. Dan, I'm sending the email. Like, I want to know who these guys are. And Lauren and I both agreed, this is a group we want to work with. And then,
but hold on, but want to add into that. So I get this email out of the blue from Alexandria Games. I have no idea who they are, what they're about. Right? This gentleman who had reached out to them, who games in their store, had found out about us through another friend of mine who runs a game store in Juneau.
Okay.
Right. I had never met the guy before this, right? And he's talking about us and what we do and everything else. So that was exciting for us because here we are. We have a referral coming through our website from somebody who we've never met, who just happened to hear about what we do and was intrigued.
Exactly.
So that to me was exciting. Yep. Really exciting for all of us.
Yeah. So, we did one event at the shop where Mana came up, and we did a night of gaming and had an absolute fantastic time, and just kind of kept the ball rolling on what do we do next. And one of the big things that Lauren and I have both talked about in our work with Mana is these guys are small right now. They need to be bigger. This can do so much good in so many places, which we've already started talking about. But we need to get them set up so that they can actually do that. You can't just go whole hog, or you're not going to make it.
Right.
So, when it boils down to it, that takes cash. Cash is king on this, right? Mm-hmm. So how can we raise money for Mana Oasis to make sure that they're able to get the things they need and get things set up and build that architecture, that base for this foundation that's going to help them grow, be statewide, be regional, be nationwide? I can't wait for that point. I have veteran friends in Arizona that are like, can we do this in Arizona like now? I'm like, hold on,
right.
This is exciting. These are exciting conversations for us to have, right? They're terrifying.
Yeah. Oh no,
but they're exciting conversations to have. This is something that our board talks about constantly. Is what do we need? What's the next step? What do we need to do? What do we need to grow? Realistically, one of the things that I love is, so our first game night that we had was January 2022. We had our first game night. We did an invitation only, where we reached out to people that we knew and kind of invited them in to kind of see what it was all about. And we have now, not including the invitation nights, but every night since then, anybody who's come out, this is, for me, my favorite statistic about what we do. We have 100% retention currently. There is, I don't know of any other organizations or nonprofits that can say that their retention's 100%. Right. We have people that they come out once, they come back. They come in. They may not come out every week, right? But they will keep coming back. Mm-hmm. And to me, that speaks volumes of the fact that this is something that's needed within our communities.
Exactly. Yeah. So how do we help build it, right? So Lauren, the other owner at Alexandria Games, my beautiful wife, who is a master of marketing and design and, getting...
She's amazing. Wow.
She's listening right now, and I know I can hear already that she's mad at me.
Get her in trouble.
Yep. She'll get over it.
Yeah. We take our two talents and try and throw them together, right? I am a massive nerd. I was a software engineer for a big tech company, and I actually worked on wellness for engineers and mental health stuff for engineers. So this hit home hard for me because it was stuff that I had stared at for years. And working with her and saying, okay, so we want to be a part of this. And then Eric shows up and goes, how do we do a big event with you guys? And we're like, let's do a game convention.
Right, yeah.
Right. That's insane to just throw out first. By like, for folks that have been to any kind of convention, no matter what the theme is, right? Conventions are huge and noisy, and there's a ton of people and vendors and everything else. It all starts at a high school, or in this case, an elementary school, gymnasium with a bunch of folding chairs and tables, and a hope and a will that people are going to enjoy what they see and come out and hang with us. So we've got 20 tables is what we're looking at right now. We have just over 20 game masters that we have titles from of games they want to run. We're updating the game list over on our website right now, ripcitygamecon.com, which is just way too much fun to say. And the list is a mishmash of kind of everything. We've got Dan, who I was talking about before, has been diligently painting all the miniatures for Hero Quest, so we can have a fully painted setup of Hero Quest, and that's a
thank you, Dan.
Yeah, that's a 2-hour game to run.
Okay,
right. So like you're not looking at like, let me sit down for 10 minutes. It's like, no, we're going to teach you a game. We're going to talk about this process that Mana has, and we're going to go through a full game, and we want you to try something new or try something familiar. Sit down with people you've never met before and play these games and check out what our community is.
However, for our ADHD listeners out there like myself, we are going to have some of the quicker play games as well.
Absolutely.
We will have I just found out today that there's somebody who's going to be running Exploding Kittens, which is
okay. I'm
which is
familiar with that one.
Yeah, that's a great card game, great family game, great group game that can play fast. And so we'll have games like that. We'll have games that will last several hours. We'll have games there that. And I'm not trying to overwhelm anybody, but I'm just letting a note. Just kind of, we'll have some where the explanations will be really simple. You may be up and playing within 15, 20 minutes. There's others that will literally take an hour of explanation, and the game will last 3 or 4 hours when you play it. And so there's a lot of moving pieces to those games and things, but they're just, again, a great opportunity to sit and just build that camaraderie, have fun. To me, nothing breaks down walls faster than sitting around a table, laughing, playing a game together.
There you go.
I was going to say the camaraderie has to be amazing at this type of event.
Yeah, and it's the same thing you'd get at home. If you're playing a board game, Ticket to Ride at home, or you're playing Dungeons and Dragons or another tabletop role playing game. There's those moments of like, oh, I can't believe that amazing thing happened, or I can't believe that terrible thing happened. And you get that moment of excitement that you're going to remember. Of I was sitting around a table with a bunch of other people talking, and it was one of the best times I had. Right. So 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. over at Barlow Park Journey Elementary School in their gymnasium and their cafetorium. I always have to remember it's not called a cafeteria. It's a cafetorium.
Right, correct.
And we've got those 20 tables we were talking about. We're going to have 4 trading card game learn to play tables, one for Magic the Gathering, one for Pokemon, one for Flesh and Blood TCG, which has been a real big one for us lately. The company that makes that just awarded us a Road to Nationals event. So we're having a bigger event where the winner of that is actually going to have an invite to the national tournament.
Oh, great.
For that game. So that's really big for us. And then one of our game masters also just asked yesterday to do a learn to play for Digimon, the Digimon card game. So for those folks that didn't like the Pokemon stuff and we're into Digimon, that's going to be there. And then we're also going to have a a sealed event because there is pre-release that weekend for the next Magic the Gathering set. So we usually do that at the shop Friday and Saturdays. So since the shop is closed Saturday because we're going to be doing this, because it's just Lauren and I for this whole thing.
Right, sure, yeah.
So do me a favor, because you just use an acronym. You use TCG.
I did. Trading card game. I apologize. Yeah.
So because we've used a few of them. We've used RPG,
Yep.
and so those for those that don't know, RPG is a role play game. TTGs are tabletop games.
TCG and CCG are interchangeable. Trading card game, collectible card game.
Okay.
And it's not just, I know Magic the Gathering is one that, and Pokemon are ones that people are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I know, I've heard about that, right? There are so many of them beyond that. Everything has a trading card game, it feels like. And in fact, Disney's releasing one in August.
Okay.
So Disney Lorcana, which we're going we're going deep on.
I bet. Yeah.
This is absolutely fascinating to me. I love radio days. I really do, because sometimes I don't know about these things, and I learn so much about them. You talk about 20 game masters. How do you find 20 game masters for this stuff?
The game, actually, to be honest with you, that's the easy part.
Really?
The easy part's finding the game masters. The hard part is going to be filling those seats. Yep. That's going to be the hardest part for us. Hopefully all of our game masters are talking to people they know. We're doing things like this. Really, it's just about finding those people that are passionate about gaming. And what's interesting to me is, and again, when we say gaming, we're not talking about video games. We're talking about those face-to-face tabletop games where we're playing.
These are not electronic.
Correct.
Means,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So when we find like-minded people, it's easy. It's really interesting. You've talked about getting involved in our organization. So we have a gentleman who's part of our organization. We had the blessing of being the featured nonprofit for a gaming convention called Midwinter in January. That's downtown Milwaukee. And this one of the guys was on the site registering to buy his badge for the weekend and put his games in there he wanted to run, and he saw our logo on there and looked it up, and he's like, you got to be kidding me, these guys are like 10 minutes from my house. And he's actually a lieutenant in the fire department, and he decided that he was going to come on over and check us out. He's missed I think maybe 3 Saturdays of gaming since then, and he volunteers at our different events, and he's actually now on the board and things. So it's like once we find the like-minded people, that's, like I said, that's the easy part, is finding somebody who likes to run a game and is good at teaching it. Next comes getting the people to sit around the table. That's always going to be the more challenging piece. Yep.
So the draw on this one, you don't have to buy a ticket to come in and look at this.
Oh, okay.
Come on in, check it out. Look at what the tables look like with the different games. Ask questions. Check out over at the Mana booth, and we've got oversized dice tower raffle where you're going to roll a big D20 on a big dice tower, try and win some prizes.
We're going to do a 50-50 cash raffle as well.
Cash, yep. So we've got those kind of things, and you can just come in and do that and talk to people and hang out. If you're going to sit at one of our tables or be in the Magic the Gathering pre-release event, then we're going to ask you to buy a ticket.
Sure.
We will have, AG Light, as we like to call it, set up in there so that we can sell the tickets right on site, and we'll have some games and stuff for sale, and kind of showing off what we as Alexandria Games are, for anybody that hasn't dropped in on us. And there's food. Webster's has been awesome, sponsoring out some food. Bill's Distributing sponsoring out some drinks for us, all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to make it as inviting as possible and let you know you don't have to buy a ticket until you actually want to sit down and play a game.
You also, one of the exciting things, we're going to have a couple of different game designers there that are going to be running some of the games that they've actually designed.
Okay.
Yep.
And which is very cool as well.
Yep. So we've got one of our own local folks, Benjamin Sprague, and he's got Kyoto Okiya that he's been working on. He's going to be running a table there. And Ben, if I mispronounced that, I apologize.
Another one you're in trouble with. Let's just start checking off the list.
Make it a list, yeah. And then we've also got Brian and Amber Grimoire of Grimoire Games, who make a game called Mini Steel. They had a wonderful, successful Kickstarter for that game last year. Might have been the year before. I'm sorry. They're all blending together yet.
Yeah,
Since, the incident. But I don't want to name it. But, we've got these groups that, we have relationships from, as a game shop, and a very small game shop. But we've been able to make these connections with these, designers and publishers and distributors, so that we can then help out for groups like Mana Oasis and be able to say, like, hey, we've got some stuff for you to put in your library that we got from, Chip 3 Games or Asmodee or whoever we're working with. But also, we have people from those places that want to come in and show off their stuff and introduce people who've never seen it. This is what tabletop gaming is.
Yeah. Talk to me, they usually want me to take a break during these things, but I'm pushing the buttons. It's fine, right? We'll get it through. You guys will be willing to come out as well, right? And
Correct.
do events for groups, organizations, those kind of things.
One of the beautiful things about gaming is that it is incredibly portable. Depending on the games that people want to play, yes, we are willing to come out if an organization is having a night that they want to do games. Yes, reach out to us. Where we can be reached on our website through our website at manaoasis.com.
Okay.
And we love playing games, so we'll come out anytime we can. We try to take as many advantage of as many chances we can to play games and to teach games and to be part of that. So we have a lot of fun with it.
So your inventory that you do have of games, is that from donation? Is that from generous locations like Alexandria Games that kind of fronts those to you? How does that work? And do you take donations on this? Right?
Yes, we do take donations, and so a lot of our games currently are our personal inventory of games that we have from our board and our volunteers and things. We have one volunteer who works with us on a regular basis, and he's got close to 400 different titles that and he's like a walking encyclopedia of games. It's hilarious to listen to some of the information he has in his head. But on top of that, he is absolutely one of the best teachers of games I've ever been around, and it's really great to listen to him teach a game. I love listening to him teach. But we also, one of the things that we love is we love to come into places and be taught games. So if somebody has a game that they like to play and they want to teach us how to play, Dan taught us Hero Quest when we came out to Alexandria Games for the game night. He taught us Hero Quest, and so there was a couple of us that hadn't played, and so we sat down and learned the game. And that's what we like to do as well. We like to learn games and teach games.
Eric, Patrick, half hour went quick.
It does.
Talking about this, it's really exciting. What a tremendous organization. ManaOasis.com.
Yep.
For more details, information, I'm sure you can make a donation on there.
Sure can.
Those kind of things, too. Patrick, your event coming up April 15th, Barlow Park Elementary School, Rip City Game Con.
Yep, it's the one, ripcitygamecon.com. That has full list of our sponsors, more information, and we're going to get game list and more update videos on there so everybody knows what we got going on.
Hey, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it.
We'll continue with Radio Day after this on The Wave.